how do we know what parts of the Old Testament prophecy apply to the new heavens and the new earth? Someone asked about Isaiah 60. How do you know what applies to the millennial kingdom? Turn to Isaiah chapter 60. I think this is a great passage. Now, Isaiah 65, which I'll mention as you're turning to Isaiah 60, says, "Behold, I will create new heavens and a new earth. Be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. I will create Jerusalem to be a delight and its people a joy. I'll rejoice in Jerusalem. The sound of weeping and crying will be heard in it no more." I told you to turn to Isaiah 60, but now that I'm staying in Isaiah 65, just go ahead and flip forward. Because now that I look at it, I realize, it merits comment here. But Isaiah 65, verse 17 and 18 is what I just read. And verse 19, I will rejoice over Jerusalem. So it's new heavens, new earth. Okay, so they're asking in the question, how can we distinguish when it's talking about new heavens, new earth, and when it might be talking, for instance, about a millennial kingdom? Well, it's talking about new heavens, new earth. We know this because it says it is. But then what happens in verse 20? "Never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not live out his years." Now, it says, "He who dies at 100 will be thought to be a mere youth. He who fails to reach 100 will be considered accursed." What? Well, there's death. There's long life. It'll be... Now he's talking about a time that will be much better, but it won't be perfect because there's still death in the world. This happens in prophecy all the time, where the prophet is looking forward to an era, but sometimes that era is the ultimate, which is the new earth. No more death, no more pain, no more sin in the world. Now, if you are of the persuasion of a literal millennial kingdom, and again, that's not required for orthodoxy. There are many godly people who are amillennial in their beliefs. But if you believe in a millennial kingdom, then you would say, oh, it looks like now he's talking about the millennium. Because it'll be much better then, but it won't be perfect and there'll still be death. Then it says, they will build houses, they will dwell in them, they will plant vineyards and eat their fruit. So should we be thinking of millennium or should we be thinking of new earth? Well, because we've got both right there. He starts by saying new earth, he's talking about it, and now he's this, and that sounds like that would have to just be restricted to millennium. Well, the building houses and dwelling in them, planting vineyards and eating their fruit could apply to either or both. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, that can only be millennium because obviously on the new earth, we won't build houses and dwell in them. There won't be vineyards on the new earth. There won't be eating on the new earth. Well, yeah, there will be. So this could easily apply, the building of houses and all. Yeah, but Jesus is going to prepare a place for us. Sure, but that place is brought down to the new earth. Do you think any of us will use skills in architecture and design and building and contribute to the development of godly, Christ-centered culture in which we're exercising dominion over the earth as we reign over the earth? Sure, that would be doing all that to the glory of God. That would make sense. Then you have verse 22. No longer will they build houses and others live in them, or plant and others eat, for as the days of a tree, so will be the days of my people. Yeah, but trees eventually die, don't they? So then you get, is that millennium? And so it's just moving back and forth. Then you've got verse 25. The wolf and the lamb will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. And dust will be the serpent's food. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, says the Lord. Millennium or new earth? Well, arguably both. But I think the most obvious interpretation would be new earth. Why? Because he started this by saying, I'm talking about the new earth, and then sometimes we move into what might be a millennial. Now, those who are amillennial interpret those verses in other ways, which is difficult to do, but, is sometimes done. But now when it's talking about the wolf and the lamb lying down together and the lion eats straw like an ox, no more harm or destruction. Well, doesn't that sound more like the new earth? Because what's going to happen at the end of the millennium? Rebellion, sin, conquest of Christ, judgment. So there is still some harm yet to come. There is still some death yet to come in the millennium. And this is talking about a time where there's going to be no more death. So I think that's the best understanding, that it's primarily new earth with maybe a secondary application to millennium.